Hey guys, hi, welcome back once again. My name is Vaishali and today I'd like to talk about the theory of relativity that was propounded and proposed by none other than Albert Einstein. So there was this quote by Albert Einstein which said that when you're dating or courting a pretty girl, an hour seems like a second. But when you're sitting on a hot burning cedar, the same second seems like an hour. And yes, though it seems humorous, there is a deeper aspect to this humor itself. So yes, not only have the scientists known that everything in life is relative, that everything in life works in relativity when it's in a physical format, experiencing a certain space and time dimension, but I believe that even the philosophers and even the spiritual seekers have always known that everything works in relative aspects, that life works in relativities. So even when I was driving back home today from a relative's place, I realized that even the speed of my vehicle, the application of the brakes was all determined to the space that I was driving in, was relative to the traffic that was out there on the road. The way we regulate the temperature of the AC to the speed of the fan is relative to what we are feeling, whether it's too cold or whether it's too hot. The clothes that we wear is relative to the temperature in the environment. The amount of water that we drink is relative to how thirsty we feel. So not only are these little cumulative things all relative, but even some of the major things in our lives about our existence is all relative as well. So I'll take up two examples over here to talk about this theory of relativity. So I'd watched these two YouTube videos wherein I saw that there's a certain tribe in Africa, the hunter-gatherer tribe, that does not like the full moon light. And though most of us in the civilized world would romanticize about the full moon night, Chandni Raat and all of that stuff, it is the hunter-gatherers who prefer not to have a full moon night. For it is the full moon night, it is the full bloom of the full moon night that takes away their food from them. It gives an easy escape to their hunt, to their food, which can actually fill in their bellies. So for most of us, as much as we romanticize about the beauty of the full moon night, about the beauty of the full moon light, it is the other aspect of the full moon night that is equally relevant, that is equally important. For some, it may be a portrayal of a deeper connection. For some, it may be a portrayal of the romance that they had imagined in their head. For some, it might be a question of survival. There was yet another documentary which I had seen, which was in regards to the wild cats. Now, the wild cat here in question was the cheetah, and the cheetah is essentially like a tiger, a solitary animal, which again made me realize that all cats are not social creatures. While the lion on one hand, which is again a part of the cat species, may be very social, it is the cheetah and the tiger who are more solitary by nature. So even here we realize that not all cat species are the same, that they are relative to their existence in certain relative phase. What I also noticed was that this cheetah was more agile than the lions themselves. There was something else that I also noticed. I noticed that since the cheetah hunts alone, it needs to be the sole providers for its cubs. There is no support system for it to fall back onto. And since it is solely responsible for its own prey that it gets for itself and for its cubs, it is also essential for this cheetah to then hunt smaller animals which it can consume fast, which it can also drag faster to its cubs. Now, there were a few interesting insights which I also got. Since the cheetah hunted alone, it needed to eat faster so that when the group of other predators came in a pack, it need not be required to give up its food. What I also noticed was while this cheetah was eating its own food, it was also keeping an eye around its vicinity to keep a check, an eye on the predators that come in a group. And they did. It was a pack of hyenas that came in together. Now this cheetah falls short of fighting the hyenas when they come in a pack. So the question for this cheetah was either to protect its food or to protect itself first. which also made me realize that at times backing down may seem the most courageous thing to do, may seem the most intelligent thing to do. So the cheetah then had to back down. The cheetah then had to give up its own food, give up the food that it had captured for its own cubs so that it doesn't get devoured by the hyenas themselves. After resting for a while, the cheetah again goes for its next hunt. And while it has captured its next hunt, its next food, while it's eating, it is still keeping an eye on the other predators which are looking for a food for themselves as well. So it is not only the pack of hyenas that the cheetah has to be careful about, the cheetah also has to be careful about the group of vultures that are hovering around when they see a prey that is lying dead for them. And as soon as the vultures kept descending, the cheetah again had to retreat back. And after resting a while, it again went to look for a food for itself and for its cubs. Now, as the documentary was progressing, I also noticed that with the change in the climate, with the change in the seasons, which is also relative and yet patterned, there was this pride of lion that had entered the same zone. Now, the lions may not be any match to the speed of the cheetah or for its capacity to climb up the trees, but they are more ferocious than the cheetahs. They are bulkier than the cheetahs, and they function in a group. So the cheetah, in order to protect itself and its cubs, had to relocate to a different place, had to find new grounds to look for food for itself and for its cubs. And after journaling all of these things, I was able to observe that while the cheetah at one point in time was the predator, it also fell prey to the bigger predators that came in groups. That while the cheetah is more agile and the fastest creature in land, and it can even climb up trees which other lions cannot do, it still needed to change its territory when the other folks came in. So was the cheetah's call to not engage in a war, to not engage in a battle with the other bigger predators, a wise call or a foolish one? Was the cheetah then a predator or a prey is something we all need to question, is something we all need to inquire into. And coming back to the first example, as much as a full moon night may seem very romantic, it may not be a romantic idea for few others. And it made me truly appreciate the beauty of relativity, which is very relevant at that point in time, but not to forget that it's all relative. And not to forget in the same breath that all of these relative patterns keep repeating themselves over and over and over again. And we as humans have been given the capacity to appreciate both the subjective and the objective reality, both the brutality and the beautiful aspect of this relativity. And like I mentioned in the beginning that I was coming back from a relative place, we all get to experience these relative aspects with our relative yet relevant relationships. Let's try and think a little more about that, and I will see you once again the next week. Till then, stay tuned in. And guys, if you do like the content of my videos, please do like, share and subscribe.